probiotics is a topic that we've talked about a lot in the course of all of our conversations, and the one that leaps to my mind is sauerkraut, because my name is Hans, but behind sauerkraut is yogurt, which is another one of our superfoods. So let's talk about yogurt.
Oh, yogurt, the wonderful world of yogurt. Anyone who has been in a supermarket knows that the choices can be overwhelming. So here's my quick things about yogurt. If you're going for protein, choose a Greek yogurt. If you're going for more calcium, choose a regular
Standard yogurt, okay.
So the Greek yogurt, is strained more and more, which gives it its thicker consistency.
Got a creamy consistency.
In terms of the probiotics, those good bacteria for your gut, look for many types of cultures. So the higher the culture, or I should say, the more numerous it is in cultures, the better it is. And look for the word live active, because a lot of these are heat treated to the point that they actually kill the cultures,
right,
and you're not getting that benefit. Finally, be very cautious about additives with a bunch of these yogurts. They have Trix yogurt, they have cereal yogurt.
Yeah.
They're high in sugar, some of them may be high in aspartame, things that you just don't want. So
right,
look for the short list of ingredients, live active cultures, and the more cultures, the better.
I love it, and if you have problems digesting dairy, I know for some folks that do have lactose issues don't have the same issue with yogurt, because some of those bacteria are actually breaking down, they're sort of pre-digesting it for you.
Yes.
So that helps with digestion. But if you are opposed to, or if you don't take in dairy, there are now plant-based yogurts. Like I know, in fact, in the shop where we're standing, they have coconut yogurt and almond-based yogurt. So it's less about sort of the vehicle and more about it's less about the bus and more about the passengers, if you can use that analogy, because those probiotics are what you're after.
Absolutely. And real quickly, when I was talking about additive ingredients, if you want some sweetness to your yogurt, I always suggest just buying a plain Greek yogurt and adding your own fruit or nuts, something like that, to add your own flair, so that you're not putting in a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need.
That is, anytime you can control the ingredients, you know what you can tolerate, you know what your standards are. So I love that advice. Buy the plain and then go from there. It becomes such a wonderful vehicle for flavor, and I use it oftentimes. I think we think of yogurt as a breakfast food or as a dessert almost, but it's great in salad dressings or in marinades, and the same thing that makes it so healthy for us, those same properties that make it so good for us, actually aid in kind of making things easier to cook even. So in a lot of cultures, they use buttermilk or yogurt. They use those bacteria to kind of break down some of the connective tissues, say in a chicken or a pork loin. And so if you do like that kind of food, think outside the box. It's not just something you shovel into your head with a spoon. It's a great ingredient for a lot of reasons.
It is, and I've heard many times I don't like yogurt because I think people associate it with that some of them are a little bit
sour,
more tangy.
Yeah. I love that.
That if you like it, there are brands that have it, and if you don't, there are brands that don't. So don't just scratch it off your list because you tried one and you didn't like it.
There's a yogurt for everyone. But I will caution some of the things, as you mentioned, that say now with yogurt or yogurt covered raisins, they have been cooked, and that cooking process or pasteurizing process destroys a lot of what you're after. So,
and I hate to say it, when I see yogurt covered raisins or yogurt covered nuts, there may have been a yogurt culture in there at one point in its young life, but long time ago. It's basically, they might as well just say sugar coated raisin, sugar covered, and fat covered as well, because they add a lot of fats for that consistency. So I'm a hard no with the yogurt covered nuts and raisins.
I'm with you. So I always like to think of myself as being knowledgeable in a little bit of everything, but I have learned so much from Dr. Ellen Steinberg, who, of course, I don't ever call her Dr. Steinberg. It's my friend Ellen. But she really did teach me. I was trying to get more calcium into my diet, and I guess I just assumed that all yogurts were the same, but I really appreciate her kind of laying that out for us. Yogurt is absolutely a superfood, and whether it was on the list or not, to me it has been. And it's such an easy thing for me to digest. So as I said in the market there, it's not just for breakfast, it is an absolute ingredient. So to that end, I want to put together one of my favorite applications, which is a raita. And a raita is essentially an Indian kind of a condiment, but you can also eat it like a salad. And it's a little bit similar to the German pressed cucumber salad that would be made with sour cream. But for this recipe, we're going to use 1 cup or thereabouts, because I'm not going to measure this. But let's go in with about a cup of, here I'm using a Greek yogurt, and I'm using, this is a traditional, it's nice and thick, it has that consistency of a little thicker than sour cream, but just fantastic for this application. And to that I'm going to add 1 whole cucumber, and this is just sort of a standard size, typical cucumber. Now I went ahead and peeled it because that makes it easier to digest, and I always try the cucumber, because sometimes if the seeds are a little hard, I might scoop the seeds out. If the seeds are young and tender, then you don't have to remove them. So this is totally fine. And then I put a little salt on this and let it sit for a couple hours in the fridge and then drained off the excess liquid. You don't have to do that step, but by taking off that excess liquid, the salad that you make or this condiment you make doesn't get so watery, so it kind of makes a more intense flavor. So 1 cucumber that has been peeled and then just kind of diced into bite-sized pieces. So we will add that to our concoction here. And then I like adding a little bit of onion for the flavor and for the crunch, but this is about of a big yellow onion. This is about maybe the 1/6 of an onion. You can see that's probably about, what, 1/3 of a cup for those of you that like to measure. But again, this is just to your liking. I personally like to have that little bit of a crunch in there. And then just because I seem to always want to put garlic in everything, I'm not traditionally afraid of vampires, but you would think that I am, as much garlic as I like to throw into my food. So I'm going to throw in a couple cloves, just kind of rough chopped. I mean, you can, even if you're afraid of cutting yourself, you can just put the garlic on there, leave the tip of the knife on the cutting board, and just rock through that. Or if you have one of those garlic press things, that works just as well. So that's going to go into there. And this is one of those salads that the longer it sits, the better it gets, because all of these flavors have a chance to get to know each other. Let's go ahead and give that a quick stir. And then, really depending on what you plan to do with this, you can add any herb that you like. I love dill and cucumber. What a great kind of European, especially Northern European combination. You see it a lot in Scandinavian cooking. But if you were going to use this on as a side dish to something spicy, like with a taco or with even a good curry, cilantro would be great in this. Or even some flat leaf parsley, just to have that green chlorophyll kind of a thing happen. But again, I have it. It's delicious. And love me some dill. I'm going to throw that in. Just going to rough chop this. You could use dry dill if you don't have fresh. That's fine. You might have to add a little more or a little less, kind of depending on how long that dry dill's been sitting in your pantry. And let's be honest, we all have some herbs that we just need to throw out. If they don't smell or taste like what they're supposed to, get rid of them. Start over again. So we're going to throw in some fresh dill. And then I love tomato. And tomato, as you might already know from watching our series, is another one of those top 10 superfoods. So going to throw in some tomato. That flavor of cucumber and tomato, I mean, that's a grandma salad. I mean, if you think of me being from the South, traditional tomato, cucumber, onion, that's an amazing salad on its own. But to have that yogurt in there as well makes it not only extra delicious, but extra nutritious. And those good bacteria in there are going to help you digest everything that's going on here in this. Either, again, it can be a salad, it can be a condiment, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it a bit of a salad for this application, but classically or traditionally you would think of this as a raita, but it is delicious none the same. So we'll put this in here. And as I mentioned, as this sits, this is going to get better and better and better because those flavors are going to get to know each other. Now, I did salt the cucumbers when I pressed them. So this is not meant to be a salty salad. You can always add salt. It's always hard to take it out. So you can adjust that a little bit after the fact. But because I used some salt in the pressing of the cucumbers, I didn't want to really add any to this combination. So that is our cucumber raita. We'll put a little dill on there, and then maybe just because aesthetically we can throw a couple of tomatoes around there. Big thanks once again to Dr. Ellen Steinberg for walking us through not only this, but all of the superfoods that we're covering in this series. And I look forward to sharing the next round with you. But more importantly, I look forward to enjoying this, and I wish that you could enjoy it with me. We will see you here next time in the Gesundheit kitchen. Until then, take care of yourself.